One final time before the weekend. It is your 10-minute sports report. Hello, everybody. I am your host, Captain Boring. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I do appreciate. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe on YouTube. All new episode of 4th and 1 podcast is out now, so go check that out both on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Go check that out. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to try to keep this short, sweet, to the point. Say that every time. Always go over. I am determined, though, today. After public backlash, the college football playoff committee leaders are inching closer to a 14-team playoff. However, for 2026, that's for certain. But however, public backlash has them rethinking some ideas. So apparently, they had the idea that the SEC champion and the Big Ten champion would get automatic buys. So with a 14-team playoff, your number 1 and number 2 seed would get an automatic bye, just like the NFL does it. However, they're saying that they had the idea that the Big Ten and the SEC, it would go to them, since the Big Ten now has basically all of the Pac-12 in it, and the SEC has Texas, Oklahoma. Well, public backlash put a squash to that. Nothing like the mob of the internet to make people change their mind. So it's likely the details of the 14-team format are determined in advance of the TV contract, which sources say remain on target to be done in the coming weeks. CFP leaders want to ensure they are aligned on revenue distribution and CFP governance before signing the TV deal, and that they have had multiple meetings and calls recently to make. So, one of these 10-minute source report, I will be announcing that, quote, automatic first-round buys for Big Ten and SEC is like the NFL saying the Cowboys get a first-round buy since they have more fans of the Bengals. TCU head coach Sonny Dykes told ESPN. How preposterous is that? Okay, Sonny Dykes, you're a little dramatic. However, in this case, I do agree with you. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the NBA. I told you I'm going quicker today. The Orlando Magic, who now are 4th in the East, went to Washington and got a big dub behind Michigan's very own Franz Wagner. 119-109 victory. Cleveland went down to Atlanta, and Atlanta, who in the last 1,500 games, which was a couple weeks ago, is a perfect 500. 750 wins, 750 losses. Well, they got another dub, so maybe they're a little better than that. We'll check on that in the standings. 112-101, they squashed Cleveland. Memphis visited Philadelphia, and Philadelphia continues to struggle without Joel Embiid. Stop me if you've heard it before. 115-109, winners is Memphis. LA travels to Houston, and they were down 22 in the first half. They rallied to beat the Houston Rockets 122-116. Milwaukee visited Golden State, and Golden State, after losing by 50 points to the Boston Celtics earlier in the week, get their revenge on Milwaukee. 125-90 winners. Steph Curry had 29 points. Sacramento Kings visited the LA Lakers and got a 130-120 dub. De'Aaron Fox went off for 44 points on Thursday. So last night, that is. Let's see here. Minnesota, the West leading Minnesota T-Wolves, visited the Indiana Pacers. Anthony Edwards had 44 points and, as time expired, blocked the game-winning shot off the backboard as the T-Wolves get a 113-111 victory. Miami Heat went to Dallas, and Dallas finally got a dub behind 35 points behind Luka Doncic, 114-108. Toronto visited Phoenix. Phoenix continues to stay hot behind 35 points from Kevin Durant, 120-113 winners. The two best teams in a heavyweight showdown faced off in Denver. The East leading Boston Celtics visited the reigning NBA champions Denver Nuggets, and it was Denver's turn to laugh. Although Jaylen Brown scored 41 points, Nikola Jokic did his thing with 32 points in a 115-109 dub. And then Golden State coming off of a 35-point victory at home against one of the East's worst teams, a play-in team. They lose 125-122. Nikola Vucevic, the Chicago Bulls center, had 33 in the victory. Tonight, the New Orleans Pelicans, who are a top team in the West now, visit the Philadelphia 76ers. The West leading Minnesota Timberwolves visit Cleveland. Orlando visits the Knicks. Milwaukee visits the Lakers, and Miami visits Oklahoma City. I don't know why I have a hard time, and yes, I made that transition why I was talking. I don't know why why I have a hard time with visits and visited. My brain wants to say visited, even though it's talking in future tense or whatever that's called. Standings wise, NBA, Boston Celtics still lead the Milwaukee Bucks by 7.5 games, 8-2. However, the Celtics have lost their last two. Cleveland just a half game back of the Bucks, 8 games back of the Celtics in third. The Magic in that fourth seed, one of the worst teams last year, 11.5 back, 5-game winning streak, 8-2. 3-7 in their last 10, sit the New York Knickerbockers at 12 back. Miami Heat, 13 games back, 7-3 in their last 10. Philadelphia 76ers lost their last two, 4-6 in play-in spot, also 13 back. Philadelphia needs to avoid the play-in at all costs. Indiana Pacers, 1 game behind the Philadelphia 76ers at 14 games back, 5-5. Chicago Bulls, 17.5 games back. Won their last 3, though, 6-4. And then Atlanta Hawks are 28-34. 20 games out. Listen, their 2-game winning streak, 5-5. Philadelphia needs to be careful because they keep sliding. They're now 4.5 games away from having to win 2 games just to make the playoffs. Western Conference Western leading Minnesota Timberwolves by a half game over the Oklahoma City Thunder, 7-3, 2-game winning streak. Thunder 8-2. Nuggets 1 game back, 7-3. Clippers 3 games back, 5-5. New Orleans Pelicans 6.5 back, 7-3. Suns 7 back, 6-4. Kings 7.5 back, 6-4 as well. Mavericks 9 back, 5-5. Warriors now in that 9 seed, 10.5 back, 7-3. Lakers 10.5 back in that 10th seed right now. So in between 5 and 10 sit 5 games, a measly 4 games, 6.5 to 10.5. That's what it is. Let's go take a look at the wild and wacky NHL. Well, I'll tell you what, Colorado needs a revamp if they're going to make another run at a Stanley Cup, and they made trade after trade after trade. Well, it doesn't matter. They did the trades last night, but on Wednesday night, Cale Makar showed up, and he showed up in a big way. 7-2 over the Detroit Red Wings. The Iowa Senators visited the Anaheim Ducks and lost 2-1 there. The Maple Leafs also hosted the Buffalo Sabres and got a 2-1 overtime victory. On Thursday, Toronto turned around and visited Boston, and it showed in a 4-1 loss to the Bruins. The Flyers visited the East leading Panthers and got a big-time dub, 2-1. The Oilers visited the Blue Jackets and lost 4-2. That's a big hurt for Edmonton as they were starting to get hot again. The Canucks, the West leading Canucks, visited the Vegas Golden Knights and acted like the West leading Canucks. 3-1 victory there. The New York Islanders visited the San Jose Sharks and blew them out 7-2. Tonight, Minnesota Wild take on the Colorado Avalanche. The Dallas Stars take on Anaheim, and the Winnipeg Jets take on the Seattle Kraken. If we check out the standings in the NHL, if the page will load, in the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division, the Florida Panthers, coming off that 1-game loss where they lost, now only lead the Boston Bruins by a single point, 90-89. And then the Maple Leafs with 80 points right behind the Bruins. In the Metropolitan, the Rangers lead the Hurricane by 4 points, 84-80. And then the Flyers have 74 points there. In the Western Conference Central Division, Stars have 85 points, lead both the Winnipeg Jets and the Colorado Avalanche by 2 points. Each have 83. Avalanche starting to turn things around and coming off the herky-jerky start, made 5 separate trades before the NHL trade deadline. In the Pacific, the Canucks keep rolling right along, now on a 3-game winning streak, lead the Edmonton Oilers by 11 points, 89-78. The Oilers now lead the Kings by 3 points. Kings have 75, and the Vegas Golden Knights are now a wild card team at 73 points on a 4-game losing streak. If we look at the wild card, sorry, I'm looking up the owner because I'm going to hit you with some knowledge here in a second. So the wild card in the East are the Detroit Red Wings and Tampa Bay Lightning. Each have 72 points. Islanders have 70. Washington Capitals have 67. New Jersey Devils 66. In the Western Conference, the Nashville Predators now have jumped the Vegas Golden Knights and are in that first wild card with 75. Vegas Golden Knights have 73. 6 points behind them sit the Calgary Flames, the Seattle Kraken, who are all of a sudden 7-2-1 in their last 10, making a comeback, and the St. Louis Blues. So hockey is heating up. By the way, the Colorado Avalanche, why they are making so many moves at the trade deadline, their owner is Stan Kroenke. He is the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, who won a Super Bowl now 3 years ago, the Denver Nuggets, who just won an NBA championship. He is also the owner of the Colorado Rapids, which is an MLS soccer team, and basically, I don't think he owns the Broncos. Does he own the Broncos? Owner of no, he doesn't own the Broncos, but he owns the Denver Nuggets, and so he expects championships, and that's why they are making all of these moves to make another run at the Stanley Cup. Well, that'll do it for this week's rendition of the 10-Minute Sports Report. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, go check out an all-new episode of the 4th and 1 Podcast out right now. Go follow us on Instagram at 4th and 1 Podcast. All the words spelled out, 4th and 1. Until next week, know God loves you. I will pray God blesses you. Wash those hands. Y'all are filthy animals. Peace out.